Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us this week on the show. It's a brand new Tuesday morning, and our third man is unfortunately unable to join this morning, but he'll be back on set.
And is watching. Shout out to you, Joe.
Shout out to you, Joe.
Joe Hansen, we love you and we can't wait to have you back.
And we miss you so much. The show has been complete without you. Please come back. But welcome to the show. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Borough. This is Breakfast Central, where we bring you the right things to start your day right. Insightful discussions, the latest news, and brilliant analysis. And today we have a very packed program for you. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee, and welcome to Flight Breakfast Central. Going
from Lagos to around the world.
Yes.
Via YouTube, Instagram Live, Facebook Live,
TV, name it,
Avo Star Times.
Like my guys would say, platform is Yakpa.
Oh, Yakpa is a lot. You know, when I thought of a dry joke to start the show with today. Yeah. You know, there's a song that says, then be two, later become three. I was going to say we'll be three, later become two.
But Joe will be back.
But Joe will be back tomorrow.
Yeah, no, he still loves his job, please. Don't sigh. Okay, let's start with the first wake-up conversations. It's a conversation that many people have been wondering, like, where's INEC? What's going on with the INEC? People are talking about all sorts of reforms, but and the politicians have been talking about 2027 in 2025, and the electoral umpire has been quiet, even though they've organized off-cycle elections in different states and at different levels. But finally, INEC has woken up from a slumber after the 2023 elections, where people said, you know, they're not too particularly pleased with the conduct of INEC. INEC's chairman is now saying that expect reforms before 2027. Let's hear it from the gentleman's mouth, not the horse this time.
We reviewed the 2023 general elections on our own. We engaged with the stakeholders. We came up with 142 recommendations. Out of these 142 recommendations, 8 require constitutional or electoral act amendment. And we discussed this with members of the National Assembly. So far, so good. We are happy with our discussions with them, and we are also happy with the speed with which they want to proceed, so that we'll have some necessary amendments done to the Electoral Act ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Right. I mean, they are looking at reforms. They are working with the National Assembly. A number of the reforms that they're looking at involve ensuring credibility with the polls, ensuring that we do not have as much technological glitches as we did in 2023. But
and the biggest undoing of INEC in 2023 was they overpromised and underdelivered. So people are taking their recent promises by Professor Mahmoud Yakubu with not just a pinch of salt, with a whole cup of salt. They've poured it, and the doubting Thomases are there. The jury is out on INEC. So we accept these promises and this reform in good faith and with cautious optimism. But what I'm most excited about, and they're a big part of Nigeria, because the Nigerian diaspora sends billions of dollars in remittances to Nigerians every year. And they also need to be a part of the elections. They're Nigerian citizens. It just happened to have gone outside for greener pastures. So the introduction of diaspora voting. But Nigerians are everywhere. How will the INEC deploy to Vanuatu? We don't even have a mission there, or Turks and Caicos, and things like that. But I think where most Nigerians are domiciled, of course, there will be options in London,
the UK rather,
Germany,
America, Canada.
Yes, and even America, Atlanta and Washington. Repeat after me.
Atlanta.
No, it's Atlanta.
Atlanta.
And Minnesota.
Okay, but jokes apart, if we look at some of the reforms, and it's important to ask our audience, I mean, we'll get to know what these recommendations are in due time. But if we're looking at a key issue you've raised is diaspora voting, which came up at the last elections. Our current constitutional provisions, our current laws do not allow for diaspora voting. But if we look at the influx of foreign exchange by Nigerians in the diaspora
yes.
into the economy and how much contribution they've made into the economy. A number of, we've seen the arguments for and against why people in the diaspora should or should not vote. The arguments for would, or the, let me start with the arguments against. The arguments against would be that, look, you're not directly here. You're not directly impacted by the decision here. So why should you be the one to decide about who will lead you when you're not even being led here? But the argument against, or to counter that argument, these people in the diaspora have family members here. A number of them have businesses here. In fact, the reason why a number of Nigerians fled outside the country is because of governance, because they're not able to rely on the quality of governance that they get here. So they travel somewhere that they believe the system works better for them.
Absolutely.
If we had better governance, if we can guarantee the quality of our elections, that democracy as is not a far cry from democracy as it ought to be, we'll see a lot of japada. Many Nigerians will come back. Nobody wants to go and be working at 5 a.m. inside cold.
With racism and every other thing they have to go through. There's another problem for INEC in terms of diaspora voting is which constituency do you put the diaspora votes? What states do they go to? Because they will come in as a block. For example, in the presidential elections, would you say these votes belong to the northeast or northwest? How do you spread the votes?
I'm sure they'll figure something out. Yeah, but it'll be in the line of them maybe lumping things up. But I am certainly strongly in support of diaspora voting. And I'm hoping that these are some of the recommendations that should be considered, and even in the way that people, for example, in the UK, in Canada, the way that they vote, it's not so much of hard. Yes, it's not hard. It's easy. You don't have to shut down the whole economy for a day or 2 days because we want to vote. It doesn't have to be war.
And INEC is also looking at that with voter registration methods. You don't have to go under the sun in one local government in the middle of your work hours to register to vote. You should be able to register online as a first-time voter, or if you want to revalidate your voter's card and all of that. They're also looking at ways of discarding voter's card.
And going paperless.
And also BVAS upgrades.
So that BVAS one is a very important one because it was a very key element in determining the validity.
That messed them up in
exactly, and the credibility of 2023 elections. Before the elections, INEC was promising, about the accuracy, and Nigerians did raise concerns about the technological capability of the BVAS to not disappoint during the elections. And what then happened is there were promises of immediate transmission, and then that caused an issue. Oh, why are you not doing live transmissions? In fact, because I voted at the last elections, and at the polling unit, what you'd recognize is that in some situations, it was difficult for these machines to recognize the accreditation was a struggle in some cases. They're complaining they don't have internet, this one, that one, like too many complaints here and there. In a country where in 2025, we're still talking about thousands of Nigerian students who have been, affected poorly, their job results because of technology, because of the computer-based, assessment. So if we're talking about that and we're still not able to fix it with JAMB, how ready are we to be able to sort this out during the election?
Let's hope. We have 2 years to go. Let's hope they will be able to fasten their belts and tidy things up.
So they need to start. So that's the challenge. That's my challenge. That's the one we keep saying, oh, we have 2 years. We don't have time being gap. So before we blink, it's 2027. And then we start realizing it's in the wake of 2027 they'll start running up and down and making us promises. We need to see, and I'm glad that, there's some appointments that are being made in INEC. It seems like work is being done. This year, we should be able to know what is the plan. They should map out a strategy for us. Anyway, let's move away from INEC now to talk about still the drama happening with the governor of Rivers State and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, the minister of the FCT. As is his character, the minister of the FCT did grant another media chat where a number of things were said. And one of them was that the Governor Fubara, came with 2 APC governors to beg him. I didn't say it. Let's take a look.
There were reports in the media that the suspended governor of Rivers State came to your house. Can you give us an insight? And yesterday, we saw a very sober governor, and from the readings, from the body language, you will know that this man is calling for peace. So, first of all, can you confirm maybe former Governor Similaye Fubara visited you privately?
The president had called for peace severally.
Not peace.
I'm coming. I said the president had called for peace severally. And I cannot sit down and one president had called for peace. He said don't want peace. Yes, he came. He came with two governors and one other person. Unfortunately, the two governors are APC governors, unfortunately. So I will not pursue him. And he said, he wants peace. Fine. I want peace. Right?
Have you forgiven him?
You see, that's the problem you will have. A man came. There are steps. You see, I don't understand how a man came. You would think that this thing is just just say to us, I want peace. Then you go, and peace has come. What that means that there's an open door, an open window for you. Take the necessary steps to show really you want peace. Indeed, this is a self-inflicted injury. Does he need it? Does he need it? When this thing started, I called him. Sheyi Makinde was there. Oton was there. Ibasu was there. Ibrahim was there. And we were scouting. We started that look. This thing is no good for you. God has given you this thing. Why not humbly? And don't allow people to push you.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I like the immediate follow-up, and that's what makes us journalists. Okay, he came, and then, like Oliver Twist, you asked for more. Have you forgiven him? And then he went on a whole explanation that, look, peace is not just given on a platter of gold. You need to work towards it. You need to do certain things, A, B, C, and D, before you can be granted the full peace. And he said he can't chase him away because he's a governor, he's a respected figure and all of that. So it's nice that that initial step was taken. But what we're not privy to is the conditions for peace, what they asked him to do.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because what really are the conditions for this so-called peace at this point is really exhausting.
Maybe that's why he went to church to say, look at me, that's why he's tired.
I don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there.
You know, I just feel like at the end of the day, again, when it comes to what's happening in Rivers State, they are the people in all of this. How much progress have the people of Rivers State made since this whole drama?
In that meeting, how much discussion was about the people?
Exactly. Was it just about personal interest, political ambition? Because the first time that we started to hear about this this drama, an issue and crisis between the both political figures, it was about destruction of political structure. What structure said, what structure did not do. So right now, again, it comes, I would always ask, where are the people in all of this? How have we prioritized governance? Our country has become one that we are so focused on politics and politicking that we forget about governance.
I spoke about it yesterday on Which Way Nigeria.
Look at what Kanduje said when he said that, you know, nobody's saying that Nigeria is a one-party state, but they welcome everybody, and it's because of what they see their party doing.
Fantastic what they're doing.
You know, and then in fact, the reports had it that he was negotiating the final terms of movements with two governors, you know, to the All Progressives Congress. Let's not all pretend that we don't know what is happening. Like, we don't know the politics that is happening on the surface of it. Everybody has seen the APC as that instrument, that carrier that will lead them to the promised land with their own personal selfish ambitions. When we had people come on the show to talk about the defection, when we ask, what was the goal? Everybody says, oh, you don't go to elections to lose.
You know,
it seems like the APC is the vehicle that will lead us there.
The irony is, this country is not like we're in such a good phase that it's so a land that is filled with milk and honey, everything is so nice and cozy like Switzerland. This is a country that is bedeviled with a number of issues. Every other day we're discussing, it's either JAM, it's either the standard of health, education, power. And then these politicians, you feel like they're disconnected from the reality of a lot of Nigerians, because what is priority to them, what they're discussing, the issues they're focused on, and unfortunately, a lot of us who are distracted by all this politicking, and governance has taken a back seat. Yeah. I've been talking about street lights in Lagos for God knows how long, and nothing seems to have been done. I mean, that's just one of the most basic things. Exactly. So imagine going around all the states with all the issues. I think it's about time we get back to governance and focus on what really matters. I also think that we need to then focus on building and breeding a new crop of politicians that do not have the current mindsets that, these ones have. Survival mindset. Exactly. Let your work speak for you. The people remember who vote you. I don't want to call the name of the person. Many years ago when we were working together, I went to see a certain politician. I don't want to call the person's name. I know the person. And it was a conversation we were having, like we were about to interview this politician. We went there to interview the person. And if you remember, we asked this person, why do their generation not want to leave governance for the young people? And I remember this person's answer. The person's answer was that young people are not ready, that they will do the exact same thing that the older politicians are doing. So I think whilst we are advocating against the ills that we currently see in our political system, I think it's also imperative that we start to breed and build a new crop of politicians. I like that, regardless, it's changing the narrative regardless of age. Yes. Because it's not an age thing. I mean, we had a minister that was Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. He was suspended. We don't know, EFCC is mute on that issue for misappropriation of funds. He was a young Nigerian. So when people say young people, we need a country is built by the wisdom of the old and the youthful and the strength and youthfulness of the young. So we need a combination. We need everybody's hands on collaborative effort. Exactly, collaborative effort. So we need to change that mindset. Oh, it's survival. Yes. It's my turn to eat. Let me steal enough so I will never be poor. So that my generation will never be poor. Because at the end of the day, when we will all leave this earth, and when you live with nothing, you will not even live with the clothes you're wearing. They will change you into white clothes or whatever clothes they use at the morgue. So just even going back to, I would say, going back to the basics, whilst we are fixing the older ones, we're starting with the younger generation. I'm very particular about going to teach values to secondary school students, primary school students. As a matter of fact, it's something that I've thought about, because I feel that back in the day when I was in secondary school, I know we used to have these things where we have secondary school students apply to be in the United Nations. They're teaching them about policy making from a young age. Mock United. So we need to start teaching governance in that same method. Social studies, we probably need to redesign our curriculum. Teach them about governance. Teach them about the values that they need to watch out for. Teach them about integrity in governance. Teach them against certain acts and practices that have become the norm, with our, because we're not going to get a change. We're just going to see the same values being recycled year in, year out. People will come, promise change, go in, and yes, they might intend to change or intend to bring about change, but the system will not give them an opportunity, and then after a while they'll be sucked into the system. And if you try to fight the system will fight you. And it becomes a vicious cycle. Yeah. All right. And now let's move to our final story. This morning we're looking at UTME exams. Yesterday we talked about how the CEO of Educare, Alex Onya, who's an education activist, had decided to take JAMB, to sue JAMB and say to them, look, you have 7 days with which you should share with us the results. The mark sheets is what they were asking for the exams. Recall that as at yesterday, there were complaints, thousands. Alex Onya says they have over 13,000 students who have evidence of glitches. So now a letter has been addressed. It is said the Freedom of Information request with respect to the 2025 UTME questions and answers. So they're asking for a number of things. They're talking about how the statistics currently reveal the worst failure rate in the history of JAMB, and that they dispute the result, and as a result, they're asking for the mark sheet. They demand a copy of freedom of, they delivered a copy of Freedom of Information demands from JAMB to the Minister of Education, Senate President, and Speaker of House of Representatives. And JAMB has been asked to respond within 7 days, or they'll proceed with litigation, saying that the lives and destinies of Nigerian students are in our hands. And it's very important. I support that Freedom of Information request, because you can't just, these are students that some of them were confident that, look, we did very well. And it's very unfortunate because of failure of technology. I have to sit at home for another year. So let's know what happened with transparency. Let's know where the glitches are. If remedial actions will be taken. And the whole investigation needs to be done. So we can learn lessons, and of course, the students can get another chance.
It's good that you said learn lessons, yes. Because even in school settings where we have classroom work, remember back in the day when your teacher would tell you, you do a quick test, they will tell you to exchange with your neighbor. Yes, and then they will write the answers and you will mark. You are able to see where the mistake is, what you didn't do right, so that you can get the correct answers. And that's what they're saying, that if there's a dispute, as to the correctness of JAMB systems and structures, if as a country we globally suffered the effect of inefficient, I don't know if it's inefficient use of technology, I would call it, but a technological failure during the last elections, it's not impossible that JAMB, would say that they haven't experienced
What does JAMB mean by unusual complaint? They were not expecting any complaint? Or
unusual,
the type of complaints?
Yes, I think the type. I don't think we've had this much pushback from JAMB. Every year, everybody complains. A lot of people complain about JAMB. When they have over 200, I had 269. When they get they gave me 125. So it has been a usual thing. But this year, it's a different kind of complaints we're seeing. Some of the complaints we've seen are, I remember, I was reading, and I'll take much of these tweets much later. In some of the tweets, there are people who said that there was a particular sheet where they had just answers, no questions. So they had to skip. That's a flaw. How do you fix that flaw?
There were students, respond to that.
Exactly. Students who complained to their invigilator saying, we don't have from question this to this. The invigilator said, there's nothing I can do. There are students who talked about how in previous JAMB, they just tried the first time. They were still in secondary school, and they did excellently well. They had well over 200. And this time around that they're done with secondary school, they put in all their hearts to the preparation, and they're having 149, 155, and it doesn't make sense. There's a young girl who talked about how she knows without a shadow of doubt that she worked hard. And then there were times when some of the students talked about how the system would be slow by the time it's trying to load. That one time she hadn't even pressed send, it sends by itself. So if there are this plethora of complaints, I think it's imperative that JAMB takes a look at it. JAMB has responded and saying that, they haven't had this, like you've mentioned, this really unusual complaints, and they're going to look into it. People are saying, let us know what you intend to do. How do you intend to look into this? Are you creating another system for them to, maybe, are you scheduling the exams? What are you doing? Yes. Let us know. I don't know if you said where JAMB told somebody, mind your words.
Wow.
I should probably look for it.
The handlers should know that you get all sorts of things. You ignore those sort of things. When you respond, you're highlighting, you're even putting more focus on the insults or the abuses.
Somebody had
that JAMB handler.
Somebody had said, if my score no reach 200, God will punish you now, 100%. JAMB responded, mind your language. JAMB do have hot temper. But just to mention that if you go on the JAMB page, that's JAMB HQ on X, they have released this document, and they had said in this that the board's annual review encompasses 3 stages: registration, examination, and results release. And they talked about how during the examination phase, JAMB ensures that every candidate is afforded the opportunity to sit for the test. Should any technical issue arise, the board reschedules the examination for affected candidates without hesitation. So it goes without saying that maybe we should expect that there will be a rescheduling.
And we should follow up before we forget. Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, these are, the conversations that we're looking at. We are just keeping our fingers crossed to see the updates with JAMB and to get proper information as to what exactly JAMB intends to do. And again, just to quickly mention, revisiting CBT as another issue. Yesterday, we had Dr. Joy Issa, who is an expert in the education space, and she raised the complaint of the computer-based assessment and the practicality of it, because there are schools that
are technologically disadvantaged. So we're talking about equity.
Equity is being able to provide the same opportunity to everybody and giving them a fair opportunity, a fair shot. So for a school where the students don't know how to use a computer, but they know the answers, it's unfair to them to be made to force to access them. Exactly. Force to access them through JAMB. Again, another question that comes to mind.
For example, visually impaired people, you use Braille.
Use Braille for them. Exactly. So this has sparked a lot of conversations, technology, the importance of JAMB as the sole determinant for getting into tertiary institutions, and maybe we now need to diversify our entrance systems, taking a cue from private universities that now set their own personal exams. But parents online are lending their voice and supporting the movement by Alex Onia. And we'll continue to follow up with JAMB and to get feedback to know what the next steps are, because again, these are the lives and the destinies of young people in Nigeria. We cannot take it for granted. That's all we have for you this morning on Wake Up Conversations. Let's now share with you what our top stories are on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, PDP governors hold strategic meeting ahead of 2027 election. We'll be looking into the details of this. FCT Minister holds media chat, addresses PDP and Rivers State crisis. And away from that, UK slashes graduate visa route to 18 months. Moving away from the United Kingdom, looking at the midterm review, lawmakers recommit to transparent parliament. And as we do every morning, we'll be reviewing the newspaper front pages with our analysts and with you as we open the phone line. So join us for all these and more. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The 10th House of Representatives has reaffirmed its commitment to legislative transparency, accountability, citizen-driven reforms, and openness to criticism as it reviews its midterm performance. Speaking at the inaugural policy dialogue on the House's 8-point legislative agenda, the Speaker of the House, Abbas Tajudeen, highlighted key milestones, acknowledged existing gaps, and promised improvements in the second half of the legislative cycle. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, brings us more in this report.
Agenda, among other expected outcomes.
It was a day of reflection and recommitment to shaping national development through legislation, as this policy dialogue brought together lawmakers to assess progress made over the past 2 years. It also served as a platform to engage policymakers and development partners in identifying key priority areas that need legislative action.
From the outset, we pledge to regularly engage with Nigerians, report on our performance, and adjust our course based on the people's feedback.
When the 10th House of Representatives was inaugurated in June 2023, it immediately adopted a legislative agenda, a roadmap aimed at ensuring consistency and effectiveness in lawmaking to reflect Nigerians. Focusing on strengthening good governance, enhancing national security, reforming legal and social sectors, promoting inclusion, and fostering an open parliament, the Speaker, Abbas Tajudeen, said significant progress has been made.
To highlight a few achievements that span various sectors, these include legislation to modernize and strengthen the power sector, establish a long-awaited federal audit framework for greater financial accountability in government.
Representatives of civil society organizations, while commending the gains and visible signs of improvement, also called for greater attention to human rights abuses.
There still remains quite a lot that the National Assembly can do, that the House can do, addressing the increasing levels of poverty in the country and addressing the increasing issue, Mr. Speaker, there is a challenging issue of human rights violations.
The Minister of Labour, alongside development partners, highlighted other key sectors in need of urgent legislative focus.
I make a passionate plea to the House of Representatives to partner with the Ministry of to facilitate the speedy passage of the national labor laws, which will be brought before the House in a short time to come.
The House of Representatives, like the federal government, is very much aware of the need to improve business and invest.
With this inaugural national policy dialogue aimed at strengthening legislative oversight and ensuring that the Parliament remains accountable to the
Well, we, of course, will continue to bring more updates regarding that, and we do certainly look forward to an expansion of that story. And see, I mean, at the end of the day, it's an improvement for the rest of us. It's something that benefits the whole of the country.
I mean, every Nigerian, I think we should, every Nigerian middle name should be Thomas. Because we doubt things. All the seminars and communiques is almost like a talk shop because they don't put it into action. And a lot of people are, quite frankly, disappointed in this 10th National Assembly. They've described them as a rubber stamp.
Absolutely.
Everything the executive arm of government presents, they take a hook, line,
even more of the Senate.
sinker, and more of the Senate too. But they're the same.
Siblings.
They're siblings, exactly.
Right.
Siamese twins.
I think, and like you've mentioned, it's one thing to promise transparent parliament. It's one thing to promise that things will be freer, fairer, more transparent, really. I don't think there's a better word to use. It's another thing to actually guarantee the transparency that you promise. I think that the stakes are high for them, especially because, like you've mentioned, there's a breach of trust. Nigerians don't seem to have a lot of faith in the 10th Assembly. They have criticized it. In fact, I do believe that it's
almost like there's no separation of powers.
Yes.
A.B. Dicey will be rolling in his grave.
A.B. Dicey, who said the supremacy of the rule of law is the supremacy of the law over the rulers and the ruled, I believe. And yes, he'll be very, 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 very surprised. Also, yes, checks and balances. I recall how last week we talked about Edo State House of Assembly Speaker running to the ruling party because, he feels like he wants to be, a number of them want to be connected to the center.
Well, I mean, they say that sometimes, but they say this because of the crisis bedeviling the party.
I beg you.
How is it affecting
we see too many, in Nigeria so far, I think what we've gotten to is we've seen too much hobnobbing between the different arms. There's three arms for a reason: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Whilst they're all meant to work together, they're not meant to be too chummy.
Exactly.
They
have their specific rules.
Yes. You're not meant to be too chummy at all.
Yeah.
It's why even in situations where in real life, it's why even in court, for example, if I were appearing, I have friends who are judges. If I were appearing, I cannot even be too friendly with them because there's an interpretation if I were to be practicing law. If people see me as they've seen us offline or we're too friendly in real life, if they were to pass any ruling or judgment in favor of my client, there'll be allegations of bias. So it's how we had hoped that the National Assembly would be completely separate from the executive. When I was in university, even with just university politics, at the point in my final year, I was a member of the Legislative House. You know that you're presenting your budget. They will ask you questions. They will drill you on the day of presentation. But we don't seem to see that. In fact, they will all rise up to say, on your mandates, we shall stand. Anyway, we'll go on a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll be exploring further conversations. PDP's party politics is in the spotlight today, so stay tuned for more of that. There appears to be some sort of political maneuvering within the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as its governors and key leaders recently convened for a high-stakes strategic meeting ahead of the 2027 election, with the PDP facing internal crisis, defections, and leadership struggles. This meeting is seen as a last-ditch effort to stabilize the party and chart a winning course for 2027.
But here's the twist. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, a controversial figure within the PDP, has openly declared his support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election. Was also a notable face at the PDP meeting. And that wasn't enough. Former First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan has also thrown her weight behind President Tinubu, shutting down any speculation of her husband, Goodluck Jonathan, making a comeback. Join us now this morning on Breakfast Central to make sense of these developments within the party. Is a member of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, Honorable Clement Aziegbemi. A warm welcome to you, Honorable Aziegbemi. Thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, what do you make of this very powerful meeting between PDP governors and critical stakeholders? What does all of this mean for the party? And is the party really finding its feet with this meeting the governors and former governors and critical stakeholders. What do you make of this?
Thank you again for having me. Very importantly, that we had to call that meeting on Sunday, right? But it would seem as if it was coming a bit late. This meeting ought to have been called since, or when I mean since, ever before now, before some of the issues that we have that have deteriorated to this point where we are now. I saw the lineup of former governors that attended the meeting, and I said, wow, you mean we still have these guys within the party foods, and none of them had initiated this peace move, having been former leaders of the party, former governors. You could see the momentum, you could see the atmosphere if you watch the clips of the meeting, that it was lively. So for me, I think it's coming a bit late, but it's, like they say, it's better late than never. So I just hope that with the sincerity of purpose, to rescue the party, to make the party come back alive, that we'll all implement all that was said towards building back the party, that so much sacrifice will be put in by all the warring factions, because we need to move on. We need to sacrifice. We need to shift back and then ask ourselves questions: what went wrong? Who caused the issues, and why we are where we are? We need to be sincere in the approach to navigating the peace that I think we really need at this time.
All right, Honorable Aziegbemi, you talk about the sincerity of purpose. So I think the next question that I'd like to ask you is, to what extent were the objectives of this meeting achieved? Maybe first of all, what were the objectives of this meeting? And to what extent would you say these objectives were achieved? There are those who think that it's just about internal consolidation. There are others who think it's a more aggressive move towards 2027. So talk to us about what you think the objectives were and how well they were achieved.
Okay, Olivia, as for objectives, I don't think the agenda was put up for us, other than when the meeting ended, the chairman of the Governor Forum, His Excellency Bala Mohammed, read out some of the takeaway from the meeting. The objective at any given time for a political party to meet is straightforward. One, to consolidate. Two, to win more grants if they are losing some, and then to talk to party members that are aggrieved, and to re-strategize on issue based on how to come back stronger, especially if you are in the opposition. So for me, whether you like to say is for aggressive move towards 2027 or to reposition the party once again, because you can see we have a lot of challenges as a party. We won't try to talk about the sincerity of purpose. So whichever way we want to look at it as party member, the issue is that we have to resolve some of these lingering crises that we have that has bedeviled the parties since 2023, after the manipulation of the 2023 presidential election. We need to talk to ourselves. We need to be sincere. We need to approach each and every aspect of our grievances with much more sacrifice to say, hey, this is what you did wrong, and this is what I did wrong. Now let's shift our sword. Let's come together and resolve this. Because the way we are going, we will end up allowing the ruling party to muzzle the system into a one-party system. And it is not to their fault. We as a party are responsible for this, for them to have done that. Because if we sit down and say, hey, we are like brothers in a political family. I have wronged you, you have wronged me. This is issues, these are the issues. Let's resolve it. Let's say sorry to ourselves. Let's apologize. And then we move on. And then say, okay, going forward, this is what we need to do to be better and to be stronger. If we agree in our meeting, like the chairman of the Governors Forum, who is the convener of the meeting, had said there's a 7-man committee. Very prominent party leaders are set to be in that committee, chaired by the former Senate President, former Governor of Kwara State. I just hope that's a very strong character. I just hope that sincerely we'll look at all the contending force, all the contending issues, and then get them resolved. Nigerians are waiting for an alternative platform. Nigerians are waiting for the PDP because they've tested us, and they've also tested the ruling party for 8 years and now going to 10 years. And if you ask an average Nigerian, he is able to compare and contrast the difference. So if we don't put our hearts together, if we continue to have infighting amongst ourselves because of ego and lack of sincerity, then the ruling party will feast on it, and then we need to harvest our members just the way we've seen them doing in recent times.
Honorable Aziegbemi, you mentioned that some people will need to apologize to each other and move past the current drama within the party. Who are these people that you feel should apologize to each other?
Without missing word, Olivia, there are a lot of persons in the party that needs to apologize to each other. If we begin to chronicle how PDP as a baby or as a father, as a mother has been bastardly abused and insulted by party leaders who have benefited from the party. You want to take from 2023 to 2027 to 2011, 13, and 19. We know these leaders who have so much brought pains to the party, and at the end they come back, they get the ticket, they enjoy themselves, not minding how the party survived. So we need to say sorry to ourselves. We need to genuinely do that. And there are a whole lot of them. If they don't know, maybe at times goes on, we begin to point names to them. We need to cut them out.
Honorable Aziegbemi, you said without mincing words, and I mean you've talked about many people. Can you give us some examples of the people that you feel need to apologize to each other?
Olivia, I just realized to you, I say in 2023, you know what happened in 2023? We know what happened into the party in 2027, in 2011. A former vice president, a president had to kneel down, like we heard, had to kneel down for his vice to get his nods to support him for 2023. Upon that, in 2027, he joined the current president now to form AC to contest against his party. In 2011, the same thing happened. In 2013, he walked out on the sitting president in the convention. This is the same person who comes in 2029, got a ticket, left the country after he lost that election, came back in 2023 to grab the ticket. We cannot begin to treat ourselves, we cannot begin to treat the party as though it is a grabbing institution where you come at any time without contributing meaningfully to make the party stronger and bigger. For me, the 2023 election was the most manipulated. The 2023 presidential election was the most manipulated, was the most flawed, was the most disenchanted. But some leaders felt, okay, fine. If because of the love of the party, if this goes on, okay, this you do A and B, and to remedy the situation, and then we move on. But these same persons refuse to shift sword, and this is where we are today. We are we are not at the center, and today we are suffering. A lot of those who we heard hold high esteem in the party are defecting left, right, and center to the ruling party. You would blame some of them is for political survival. So I think I don't want to mention it, but without missing word, if I have what I have said should point to you do a lot of investigative journalism, and I'm sure you know what I'm saying. Except if you push
what about our viewers?
I don't know, Honorable.
What about our viewers?
I don't make assumptions, sir.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't get that.
I said I don't want to make assumptions. It's why we always ask for clarity so that you specify who you're making reference to. But it would seem that you do not want to mention any names. Let's move the conversation to another angle and talk about how the PDP aims to win back the trust of people, many of its members, and even people who are not members of the People's Democratic Party believe that the party has lost its stance as a formidable opposition. So how are they going to be able to win back the trust of people?
By settling our in-house fights with sincerity. And that is, I talked about sincerity, because there are people who are spoken, when you offend them, they say it out and you know that they are offended. There are persons who you offend, they won't say it out, but they will stay with you and rock the boat. But we have a man who has been speaking from inception, from the day he left the primaries. He has said, this is wrong, I was not treated rightly, we need to do A and B to settle it. And coincidentally or incidentally, this man has some large followers who believe in his trust pattern. He says a thing and he says to you why he's going to do X, Y, Z because you have not done X, Y, Z. Now we need to begin to listen carefully and shun ego, shun like what should I use the word arrogancy, and look at this gentleman and said, is he actually saying the right thing? Has he actually made case for us as a party? This is the same man who has despite his service to the nation through the ruling party, he has remained in the party. You saw him in our last governors and stakeholders meeting. Why the other ones who we always want to sit back and grab the ticket, we didn't see them. So we need to sit down as a party and say to ourselves, there are guys who are good in this game. Even in your journalism, there are persons, you have colleagues that you know, hey, he's good in this game. And you try to mentor, forget the age. You try to get close to the person to learn so much from this job. And we have such person. If we are sincere and sit down together and say, okay, we concede some and we lose some. You take this, I take this, and we settle this. So that because Nigerians are waiting for us. Nigerians want us to put our hands together. Because so far, so good. The ruling party hasn't justified the trust reposed on them confidently by Nigerians. They haven't done that. In fairness, I hope that maybe if we leave this conversation, things will change dramatically. But as we speak today, I think Nigerians are still in a state of confusion, in a state of disbelief that this is not what they bargained for 10 years ago when they hurriedly pushed PDP out because of the so much propaganda against the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. And we thought a miracle worker was coming. But you and I have seen that there wasn't a miracle worker anyway.
Honorable, yes. Now that the PDP governors have met and stakeholders have met to fix the party, with some members openly supporting the incumbent president, which belongs to another party, would you say we've seen the end of the defections? And as the PDP turned the corner, is this the beginning of positive news for the PDP in Nigeria? And will they be able to be a viable opposition come 2027?
Okay. Yes, some party members are supporting or are throwing their weight behind the current president because of these same issues in the party, because they feel the party hasn't put their house together. They felt the party seems not to be ready. So why not? As politician, you know, it's
puts
like
his house in order. Would they withdraw that support? When the PDP puts his house in order before 2027, would these members of the PDP that are openly campaigning for the current president, who belongs to APC, will they withdraw their campaign, their support, and support a PDP candidate?
It's possible. You know, politics are all about interest. This fight in the party politics is all about interest. If they put their hands together and certain interests are recognized and are swayed, I'm sure they will.
All right.
We start a political party.
All right. And then there are moves that is being made for the PDP to maybe be better prepared for powerhouses like the Labour Party, the Democratic Party consider the Labour House a threat, the Labour Party a threat, the NNPP. You know, are there moves to consolidate themselves to ensure that they are better prepared, you know, for the other oppositions? Or again, are you of the view that all these other opposition parties should work together at the next elections?
I didn't quite get that question rightly. Are you talking about a coalition? Yes, in a way. PDP is a bigger elephant here. If anybody wants to, if anybody is talking about a coalition with the PDP, they should come to the table, not PDP going to them. Because if you check the NNPP, they are having the myriad of problem also. Some faction is suspending the former governor of Kano, who is the presidential candidate. In Labour, that is not a place you really want to talk about. There's the suspension here and there, the Abure faction, the other faction, and a whole lot of that. And these are smaller parties that shouldn't be having the kind of problem they are having. So if they are sincere and they want a coalition to take out the present government, they should come to us, not PDP going to them, because we are bigger than them.
Okay, speaking of the PDP being bigger than the other political parties, let's also talk about the PDP's presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. There are those who think that he should probably step down. We don't know that he shares same sentiments, but do you think that in the coming elections, the PDP should still again present Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as its flagship bearer, bearing in mind that, I don't know if you listened to the media chat where it was being said that PDP should zone this differently and that it's not fair how the PDP is zoning it to the north now. What happens when, at the end, if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wins the elections and then PDP then decides at that point again to zone it to the north, that it isn't fair, so they should zone differently at the next elections?
Olivia, you heard that. You see, political parties in this part of the world or anywhere in the world is set up for the purpose of winning election and serving the people. You cannot, if you remain as a political party, you are not winning election, you are best to be described as a mere association of friends and not a political party. If you heard what the former governor of Rivers State, the FCT Minister, said in his media chat yesterday, I wish I strongly concurred and wish I believe that is the way to go. Now, you cannot now want to zone the presidency to the north in 2027, and the current president is from the south, and he wins it. Then in 2031, what are you going to do? To still zone it, because automatically the APC will want to zone to the north. So how are you going to do it again? You are going to zone to the north again, knowing fully whether we like it or not. After the outer of the good luck in 2015, PDP the South Side became the hub base of the PDP, became the engine room and the powerhouse of the PDP. Suspend the party. Now you have systematically skimmed that part of the country who held this large, the one of the largest political party in Africa out with this issue of majority from the north voting and all of that. You brought in Atiku in 2023. If you ask me, Atiku should pay the utmost price of sacrifice by not contesting election under the PDP in 2027. It will be injustice to a whole lot of us who have stood strong with this party. And that is why I chronicle 2023, 2027, 2020, 11, 13, and 19. Atiku, because of his inordinate ambition, has cost PDP more harm than good. I say this without fear or favor. I have a lot of respect for him. He should sit back and look at his trajectory on his party management, how to sit down and groom leaders within the party and stop taking the center stage at every given election. It has cost us the problem as a political party, and I think it has also caused a lot of problems within his followers. Atiku cannot tell us today that he commands a strong, visible control of PDP in Adamawa State. Because at every given time, if he doesn't get ticket, he's planning his way out of the party. And I'm sure he's doing that already if he's noticed or if he senses that he's not going to get ticket in 2027. And that is why maybe you have
I'm glad that you mentioned that
in SDP.
Because I'm really glad that you mentioned that on Aziegbemi. On Aziegbemi, I'm glad that you mentioned the last paragraph of what you said, because I had wanted to ask you that it's one thing for you to share what you believe Alhaji Atiku Abubakar should do. It's another thing to see if he will actually do that. So you think he should be the sacrificial lamb, he should put his own ambition aside for the benefit of the party. But do you believe that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will do that?
I don't believe, because I'm not in his thought and mind and his action. But honestly speaking, Atiku Abubakar, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president of Nigeria, a very strong PDP member, relatively doubtfully, if you want to use the word, if he's a strong PDP member, because he has been up and on into the party. But I think he should be the sacrificial lamb. He should please step down, groom leader, look for that person who can bring us together in the PDP. Because you see, whether you like it or not, you see has a lot of influence around the party. So not recognizing his influence will be to cause more disaffection among us. We know he has a lot of followers. We know he has a lot of supporters within the party fold, amongst former governors, among BOT members. But the truth of the matter is, should we be zoning our ticket to the north again? No. We won't do that as a party. If you do that as a party, then you already set yourself for failure. Because you have an incumbent president who is more tactical politically, who is more strategic politically, going for a second term. And you are going to get your own ticket in the opposite direction, where we have the north and the south agreement, even if it's not written. But we have that understanding. We have a northern president who had 8 years. Even in this worst reign, the party still gave it and the people supported him for a second term. Then why should the south case be different? The only thing somebody like us would have supported if maybe President Jonathan is coming to complete his a 4 years term of the current 4 years that the Southern presidency has had. But now we've heard from the wife that they are not ready to come back. They are enjoying themselves now. They have peace of mind. They are good.
In response to what you've said regarding President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, I think we may, I don't know, have the answer to that, because the former First Lady had said that it's a turn for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and they're throwing their support behind President Bola Ahmed Tinubu because he did the same for them when it was their turn. So I don't think that we don't know yet. I mean, she's not his spokesperson. But we do not know that former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan will be back in the running regardless.
You women control the home. You women control the home. If the wife comes out to say we are not ready, we are going to support Asiwaju, we are better off now. Can't you see how I'm getting younger? I think you listen to her. So if that is the conviction from the wife, you think the husband will do otherwise? I don't think so.
I would tell. Honorable Clement Aziegbemi, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you, Central News, for having me on.
All right, still looking at what's happening within the People's Democratic Party. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has fired a warning shot saying the PDP cannot zone its 2027 presidential ticket to the north, and will be expanding that conversation even further. But now let's share with you what's coming up next on Breakfast Central. Coming up next on Breakfast Central, Dele Momodu knocks FCT Minister over comments on PDP. And Natasha, court to hear Senator Akpabio's contempt case today. FEC approves reduction of pharmaceutical costs nationwide.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has fired a warning shot saying the PDP cannot zone its 2027 presidential ticket to the north. The minister insists the party must learn from its 2023 mistakes when internal divisions cost them the presidency, warning that selfish interest with the party would destroy the party.
We are waiting to see what was agreed will be implemented. We are waiting. If it's not implemented, I will not agree. If it's not implemented, I will not agree. I don't see how any right thinking person, something that you know that can make the party to tie, something you know you have a ruling party that looking for any opportunity, and you say, some people say, oh, there's no need for one party that. Who is talking about one party state? But who is making it to be one party state? It's you. Now, it's an offense to declare to Wike. Somebody is punished because he goes to Wike's house. I will not fold my hands and allow somebody punished simply because he comes to Wike's house. This part is not going to be possible. Let us have the right thing to be done. Like I said, certain things we agree, Let us see whether sincerely they will implement it.
If the PDP zones the presidency to the south,
yes,
would you abandon President Tinubu and support the PDP stand?
And let's get to the bridge.
Minister?
Let's get there first. Let's get there first. But do the right thing. First of all, is the southern position. The south, okay, we are going to produce from the south east. And another thing, can you and somebody who was elected in national convention now bring a replacement without an election? They appointed. Now, the argument they have made is that it has happened before. I say, fine. That's when you are unity. Nobody will want to raise it. Now there appears to be a fraction. There appears to be a problem. And that's what we are challenging.
Now, we'll be unpacking all of this as we find different sides to this warning issued by the FCT Minister, whether or not the fortunes of the party will be greatly affected. Should the party, the PDP, otherwise fail to heed to this warning shot that has been issued again by the minister? Join us this morning for this discussion is a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Dele Momodu. One welcome to you, sir, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Good morning, and how are you today?
Very well, thank you, sir. We're glad to have you. Now, I would like to take your reactions to what the FCT minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, said in his media parley that the PDP should zone the presidential ticket in 2027 to the north, and he said to the south, and he said the party was destroyed due to selfish interest in the last elections.
Well, you know, the FCT minister likes to speak with the authority and the finality of God, but he is not the God of PDP. I don't really care wherever they zone the presidential tickets to. He has not been able to get over the loss of 2022 presidential primary. That's all. Like someone, a former president once said, Wike has been inconsolable just because he lost an election, number one. Then number two, he thought he was going to be picked as vice president. He was not picked. That gets him very angry. He gets into a rage. If you remind me of him, he reminded me of that. Yesterday, those who interviewed him failed to ask him a very pertinent question. Did you want to be vice president under Alhaji Atiku Abubakar or not? So if you had been made vice president, will you be arguing today that you were fighting for the South? So he's just playing to the gallery. And it's because Nigerians too, they love his melodrama, you know. So we're all enjoying it. Every time I watch him, I just shake my head. And why is a man so consumed by power? Is there nothing else outside power? The article that you keep fighting is in his house, running his chain of businesses. He's not fighting anybody. There is no thug in front of his house. He does not control any state whatsoever in Nigeria. And yet, you are all going frenetic about him. So, this argument that PDP will not be allowed to zone power to the north, for me, is neither here nor there. It is the right of any party to choose whosoever they want. And if they do so, there is nothing you can do about it. And beyond that, he knows that his job and duty for APC is to block PDP from fielding any formidable candidate. That is his sole job. That is why he's FCT minister. That is what makes him relevant today. So he's doing a good job of it. But he has forgotten that in 2014, 2015, PDP had a sitting president, and just a few people pulled out and joined a coalition of other forces, and they were able to sack a president. So all this noise, all these tantrums, lead nowhere. Because tomorrow, some other people will decide to form a coalition, and when they form a formidable coalition, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm not campaigning for South or North. It's undemocratic to make it the sole requirement of a president where you come from. That's why Nigeria is not moving forward. It's like saying that a student, whether he passes or not, he must be promoted because of where he comes from. This kind of shenanigans for me is nothing but melodrama. And we're all enjoying it. It does not have the power of God. It only has the power to block PDP, block Peter Obi in Labour Party, block Kwankwaso in NNPP, so that there will be no formidable candidate against his own candidate. He has already announced his own candidate. Has anybody quarreled with it? I don't mind if Tinubu wins the election next time, so be it.
So
but for one person to be going around and blocking everybody, that is his job, like a blocker. He's the goalkeeper now for APC.
So do you believe that Nyesom Wike is? Do you believe that Nyesom Wike is a foundational problem in the PDP? Chief Momodu, do you believe that Nyesom Wike is a major problem in the People's Democratic Party? Do you consider him still a member of the PDP?
He is not a problem. I've told you that he's the goalkeeper for APC. And they are backing him up. If he does not have the backing of the presidency, he can't be backing at everybody the way he's doing. So he has the presidency behind him. So be it. And power is transient. So it's good. I'm a good student of Nigerian political history. And I know that what he is doing, there is a terminal date for it. And when that terminal date comes, he thinks he's smart. He's being clever by heart. Because he still has his eyes on the presidency. He still believes that by some miracle or magic, something will happen that will make it possible for him to become a presidential candidate of PDP in the near future, because he knows he has the financial muscle and capacity to take on that project. So he is not totally sold on Tinubu, but it's convenient for him right now. They are protecting him, they are projecting him, and they are funding him. So it's okay. That's all.
Now, Chief Momodu, looking at your party, PDP, we've seen the FCT Minister has openly come out to endorse the current president, who is a member of the APC. We've also seen governors, like Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Governor Eno, come out to endorse the sitting president. What does this say about internal discipline within the PDP? And also, what do you have to say about the recent gale of defections we've seen in a foundational PDP state like Delta? Since 1999, Delta State has been PDP up until a few weeks ago when the governor shifted camp. What do you make of all of this?
The gale of defections suggests only one thing, that President Tinubu is the best president ever in Nigeria, so that even before his midterm, everybody at the camp, Nigerians are not suffering, Nigerians are enjoying, and so that is why everybody is going there. I can't see any other reason why everybody is joining. So we keep watching. So if Nigerians are happy, they are enjoying under this government, they have no problems, education is full, electricity has been sorted, and so on and so forth. We have good medical, we have everything, then they have a right to be joining. I don't have any problem with it. I'm a Democrat. I will not blame any governor for jumping, but in my own thinking, it's obvious that we're living under dictatorship and voluntary servitude. That's my own personal view. But I don't know the reason they are joining. The only thing I can suggest is that this is the best government ever in Nigeria, and I salute the president for his achievement.
What do you say about the matter of internal discipline within the People's Democratic Party, of members openly endorsing?
There can't be any discipline. You see, you need to know the power of the presidency in Nigeria. Wike today is doing what he's doing because he has the backing of the almighty presidency. That's all. So, and they are not doing it just to PDP. You have The reason everybody is talking about PDP is because it's the leading opposition party in Nigeria. They are doing it in Labour. They are doing it in LMPT. Wherever they think a formidable opposition can come from, they will go there immediately and destroy it. They have their guerrillas who are fighting this guerrilla warfare on their behalf, and that's what they are doing. And to be quite honest, you know me, I'm not a career politician. I'm enjoying it because I know the history. When it comes later, we will be a part of it, and we will all see how it will end.
If you believe so strongly that the power behind the FCT minister is the power from the presidency and that that's what emboldens him to be able to, quote-unquote, act against his party, do you then believe that the PDP is totally incapacitated and, you know, the meetings that have been had in recent times in terms of stakeholders coming together to fight for the future of the party is an effort in futility?
Whoever is sitting down at PDP meetings with a man whose soul left long ago, but his body remains, that person is a time waster and is probably working for the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's as simple as ABC. We're not unintelligent. Nigerians are among the brightest, the most brilliant, the most intelligent people on earth. So for anybody at this stage to say, oh, I'm sitting with Wike to see how the future of PDP will. They are virtually collapsing PDP. So it's like tying a child who wants to go for an examination. He's tied up with ropes, with everything. His mouth is sealed, his eyes is blocked, and he says, go and write an examination. Oh, that's an exercise in futility. So Wike has done a good job. I salute him for it. He has done a good job to kill the party that made him somebody in life. Right from 1999 to today, he has not done any other business than politics and politicking. And so, and he has been in PDP. He likes to boast about it that he makes PDP, he made PDP, and he's still making it. Of course, there's no doubt about it that he has the financial capacity to make and unmake any party. And he has the presidential backing to kill any party on behalf of APC. And he's doing a good job about it. I cannot fight him for that. What we're doing here is an academic exercise. And as I watch him, each time I watch him, I just smile at what Nigeria has become. The degeneration of Nigeria, even I don't think it's going to be able to capture it in the future. And our children and grandchildren will be amazed at the capacity of one man to raise so much havoc in a nation. A nation that produces one of the greatest men and women on earth. And that nation has now been turned into a huge joke. So are you saying, all of us.
Are you saying that you do not believe in the course that the former Senate President Bola Saraki and the rest of these committee members are making? You do not believe that anything is going to come out of it, and you think that the PDP is done for until Nyesom Wike does not have access to presidential power or backing?
Wike already said it yesterday that they agreed on some things, and if those things change, he will never agree. So are they not wasting their time? It's either they are wasting their time or they have aligned to his line of reasoning. So I do not agree that anything will come out of it for PDP. Because, again, I'm quite theoretical. My theory is that the next election, nobody is going to stop Tinubu from contesting. It is his natural right. But nobody also is going to stop other people from contesting, whether they are northerners or southerners, because the only qualification to being a president is not where you come from. So, and I know that any party that wants to, and that's why they are fighting to and nail. So that's why he says the North will not be allowed to present, because he knows that the only direction from which a candidate can come to challenge Tinubu will be from the North. So effectively, they are blocking that. Okay, let no party, especially a party like PDP that is so formidable, let that party not produce a northern candidate. That's all. This thing is all about north, south, north, south. It has nothing to do now with the personal credentials of the potential candidate of PDP. They are not interested in it. They succeeded in blocking PDP, and so they moved on. But I'm reminding you again that once upon a time, the APC that we are talking about today, once upon a time, did not exist. It did not exist before 2014. I was one of those who were involved at that time as a non-member, as a volunteer. And what happened? People say, oh, it's not possible. You can't unseat a sitting president. But we saw it happening. So, who says, and it's true that they are doing this thing early enough. They have not even done half time. They have not even presented what they have done to deserve a second time. They are already campaigning. Illegally, because I don't think INEC has declared campaigns ready. So, but because they are in power, nobody can arrest them, nobody can touch them. They are the ones who can destroy everybody, and they hold the power of life and death. But I am telling you that some other people will form a coalition, whether they win or not. I, as a Democrat, I believe it must be done. I believe it should be done. So it does not matter whether they win or not. That is what will deepen our democracy. This issue of that DJ saying that it does not matter if Nigeria goes to a one-party state is a wild dream. It is a wild dream. When we were fighting Abacha, when we were fighting Babangida, we never knew a day would come when Nigerians would not be able to have a committed constitution. All right. Where were they at that time? So now that some people have power, I love Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I love him as a person. But this politics of one-party game. All right. No, I can't join you in it. We will come to the second half of this conversation. We'll continue it, but we'll need to go on a very quick break. And when we return, we'll delve in deeper into the conversation. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we still have a special guest with us, publisher of Ovation Magazine and PDP chieftain, Chief Dele Momodu. Now, Chief Dele Momodu, before we went on the break, you did mention that you love Mr. President, you have a good relationship with him, and I want to take us back memory lane. You were part of the NADECO struggle together. You spent a good time together in London during the days of exile. So the big question everyone is asking is, why are you not politically aligned? And do you have plans to perhaps move to the APC someday? No, I have no such plan to join APC. I have no business with APC. My business is with democracy. I repeat, I love President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I know he loves me. So why are you not politically aligned with him? Being a friend does not mean all of you must be in the same party. I come from a background where you must have your personal principle. Being a friend does not make you a slave to anybody. I love my freedom, and I intend I will 65 by the grace of God this Friday. And at that age, what else am I looking for? I want my freedom. Tinubu became a superstar. He was one of those who inspired me, who trained me to be a pro-democracy person. This pro-democracy man you are looking at was trained by Tinubu. I was in his house regularly when we were in England. So, I can see you showing the picture. So I'm telling you that what he taught me is what I am practicing. I am not his enemy. Democracy is about politics and about freedom of association. Democracy is not about friendship by force. No. We will remain friends. And tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, he would appreciate. What I'm doing next to advise him, that don't get carried away. These guys are using you. You might think you are using them, they are also using you. What Wike is doing today is to use Tinubu for his relevance, to drive his Rolls Royce and enjoy them. That's fine. I don't have anything against it. Wike has worked very hard. Wike is one of the best ministers here. I'm a very positive person. I look at the positive side of people. And then I look, when I see that your negative is destroying the positive, then
a cause for concern. If Wike had just paid the FCT job they gave him, I'll be one of those people who are applauding him today. But this man is a wrecker. You wreck PDP, they are doing meeting, you run there. You have put enough job in your hand to do. So, as for why I'm not supporting Tinubu, I can never support dictatorship. That is what we fought against. And he led, and I followed him. So if he's watching me now, he will be so proud that, oh, I've produced a wonderful disciple in Dele Momodu. Because he stood alone. When everybody was decamping and supporting President Abbas that time, he stood alone. So why can't I stand alone? All right.
For those, what would your response be to those who say that we're putting on a lot of blame on Nyesom Wike about the quote-unquote struggles, I would call them, within the People's Democratic Party, when the actual problem within the party is the fact that they continually push Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as the flag bearer for the party. There are those who have said that, as a matter of fact, he should step back his desires to run for office again, as if he does, it would reduce the chances of the PDP. What would your response be to them?
Wike has already declared his support for Tinubu. And the only reason he doesn't want that is because he's afraid of Atiku. I'm saying it publicly, openly. I'm not saying it privately. So why should he worry about who comes from PDP? So does he want PDP to defeat Tinubu? I studied logic in Ife. It's a standard that these days people don't argue with logic. I studied logic. You've already declared your interest for Tinubu. I support it absolutely. God is my witness. There is nothing wrong with that. But you cannot tell your husband not to sleep with you and say don't sleep with my senior wife. You will choose who you want to choose. You have chosen Tinubu to support him, and then if you let PDP also.
Chief Dele Momodu, what if we ignore PDP with you? Now, Chief Dele Momodu, what if we ignore the messenger and look at the message, and also look at the principles of equity? Alhaji Atiku Abubakar took the PDP ticket after 8 years of a Buhari presidency. President Buhari came from the same northern region, and Mr. Wike thought, you know, it's only fair that a southern takes that ticket. And there's also talks of him not relinquishing his presidential ticket. He's going to be 80 years old in 2027. Is it fair? Even, let's assume this message is not coming from Mr. Nyesom Wike. Is it fair for one man's ambition to override the interest of the party?
I mean, just to support that, I want to also make reference.
Wike cannot claim to be worrying over the headache of PDP. Wike has already chosen his own candidate.
Let's forget the messenger. Let's remove Wike from the picture.
Momodu, let's move away from Nyesom Wike. I'm going to your Instagram, and on your Instagram page, you put up a post where you criticize the statement by Minister Nyesom Wike. In the comment section, I can see responses from people. Someone says, but PDP should be wise. Giving the presidential tickets to the northerner will bring fatal failure. Another comment says, the problem here is not Wike. The problem of PDP is Atiku. Atiku should learn how to let go of the presidential ticket and let the PDP take over this country for once. And there are numerous people who share similar sentiments in that regard in your comment section on Instagram. So what would your response be to people who think that the problem of the People's Democratic Party is that they keep pushing Alhaji Atiku Abubakar?
That is not true. I remember when I wanted to contest in 2022, I met Alhaji Atiku Abubakar at the convention ground. And he said, Dele, I hear you are contesting. I said, yes. I said, we want to push you old people away. He said, it's not about pushing us away. It's about working hard to push us away. And that day, he earned my respect. He didn't say, Dele, don't run. He didn't say, Dele, don't contest. Even now, nobody is telling anybody in PDP not to run. If Dr. Bulasa wants to run tomorrow, he's a very good candidate. One of the brightest we have in the party. But the moment you start qualifying people in advance, that's no longer democratic. So you are allowing Wike to cause a distraction. Wike is not speaking out of love for PDP. I don't know how many times you want me to repeat it. And I want to tell you something. PDP does not have the problem that Wike is trying to amplify. PDP fielded President Abbas Tajudeen 1999 to 2007. Then President Yar'Adua took over. Unfortunately, we lost him. And then President Goodluck Jonathan, a perfect gentleman, took over and then completed their first term. Then he contested his own. So that is 8 years plus 1. That's 9 years. Then he completed 4 years. That is 13 years. Then they allowed him to contest again. Please listen to that. He contested in 2015. And he won that election. Then Southerners would have been in power for 17 years. Nobody complained at that time. So my own is, I don't care where any candidate comes from. But to say by fire, by force, the two candidates will come from the south is being clever by half. And the reason they are doing that is that they are looking for an easier way out for the president. That's number one. Number two is that in that configuration of 2027 election, there is technically no Southerner that can defeat Tinubu. The only other direction from which a formidable candidate can come right now is in the north, because there must be an incentive for people to support the candidate. And that incentive right now is that a lot of people, apart from Southerners, who are also suffering, because suffering has no ethnicity. So, is that the North feels that Tinubu has not been very kind to them. So naturally, they already have incentive to produce their own candidate. And that candidate can come from any party, not just PDP. And that's the mistake Wike keeps making. He feels PDP is the only party that can produce a formidable candidate against its chosen candidate. It is wrong to think that way. When tomorrow comes, a coalition will be formed, and when that coalition is formed, it has to be tested if they have the capacity to unseat a sitting president. That's all. There's nothing we can do about that. It can block the PDP, block Labour, block NFPP, all the formidable candidates, but it does not mean that another coalition will not rise up the same way that APC rose up. Number three is that they are talking about age. It was the same thing people were saying about Buhari at that time. Buhari contested 3 times. On the 4th account, all people say, oh, why are they wasting his time? The man should go and rest. The man is the same thing. History is repeating itself. The same Buhari, who even doubted whether it was possible for him to win or not. He was brought up as a candidate of necessity. Today, Nigeria needs a candidate of necessity and a running mate of necessity, and I can predict they will come up. Whether they win or not should be their business. Nobody can stop that.
Have you made
they can block PDP. But I am telling you that a candidate and a running mate of necessity will come up, and when that comes, they should take it. I'm not saying the North should win. People don't seem to get this logic. The logic is that there is nothing in the Constitution of Nigeria that will stop any man from pursuing his own dream. And if you say he's too old, is that not better for you? If you say he's bad for market, is that not better for you? So, why not allow the man that can beat freely? Why are you campaigning a man that you can beat freely? I will only follow Wike if Wike tomorrow says he can produce a man who can beat Tinubu and that he's no longer supporting Tinubu. Is logic. If a lot of people are illogical, me, I'm very logical. Wike has to tell us what you want. He cannot eat his cake and have it. You want Tinubu? Fantastic. But to not say you don't want someone else, that cannot be your business. But you can hold on to PDP. When others move and they find that candidate and running mate of necessity, then he will come back on television again to abuse them. That's all he can do. He can't do anything other than that.
Chief Momodu, what hope is there for the People's Democratic Party to be able to reinstill trust and, a vote of confidence in its supporters and, Nigerians at large who have looked at the PDP over the years as a formidable opposition?
I've told you I am not a career politician. To be honest with you, my body is in PDP. I think, like Wike, my soul is out of PDP. So I don't really care whether PDP in its collective wisdom or collective stupidity allow one man to ruin his chances. So be it. Right now, we should be talking about programs. We should be talking about the people of Nigeria who are suffering. We have abandoned that. People are campaigning. People are gallivanting all over the place, trying to acquire parties, trying to acquire governors, trying to acquire life and death up front. That's not the way of God.
Now, Chief Momodu, this administration will be hitting the second-year mark in a number of days. I would like to know your assessment of the Tinubu administration so far and what you feel they should do more. And the second part of my question is on an issue you raised. We're not even halfway yet. And like you rightly said, there's a lot of politicking. No one is talking about governance. I don't think we've had it this serious before. Everyone is talking about 2027 when the problems of 2025 have not been resolved. Who do you blame for this? How could we channel the conversation back to governance and the people that matter? So 2 questions there.
Well, I'll merge the 2 into 1. I'm not going to make any assessment. I've stopped making assessments about this government. And I will confess to it. You know, I used to write a regular column on the back page of this. I stopped writing because I was tired of people calling me every weekend. Some of them, our former Nadeko chieftains, Tinubu is our man, let's protect him. So I stopped writing because there's no way I will write. And I will not criticize. I was criticizing everybody before Tinubu. So how come the only person I'm not allowed to criticize? So I left him. I'm a very reasonable person. I'm not a difficult person. If it's wicked will continue to attack and, you know. So I'm not going to assess. I know that when the midterm comes on May 29th, they will congratulate themselves, they will enjoy their adulations, they will pop their champagnes, and they are happy, and they will deceive the president that all is well. But I've been in politics since 1982, not as a career politician, but at least as a participant. So I am very, very happy that the president has succeeded in tying almost all Nigerians together to queue up behind him. That's a great achievement. If you ask me, its biggest achievement since democracy returned in 1999, it is the ability to turn Nigeria into one-party state and to turn Nigerians into robots. Robots who will just carry themselves voluntarily and then boom. And when you meet them outside, what they tell you is different. We don't have the chance, so we don't want any trouble, what are we going to eat? I'm waiting for appointment. I swear to God Almighty, that's what I hear everywhere I go. Most of the people who are closest to him today, that's what they are saying. They are looking for appointments. So it's very difficult for an average Nigerian politician who lives by politics to tell him not to wait for appointment. So that is why those of us who don't want appointment, we are outside. So when people say, oh, you will soon join them, say, join them for what?
All right. So we know that there's no possibility of you moving to the APC like you've mentioned. I think our final question this morning.
No.
All right.
I'm not saying that we blow up the tomorrow. No.
All right.
I don't have any problem with APC. I wish them the best of luck, but I know from it that this is not the route to go.
Okay. My final question to you would be, of course, to have you react to the state of affairs in Rivers State. We know that you've openly criticized the president declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State. From the media chat with the minister, you saw that the minister talked about the governor coming to apologize to him, but obviously not overtly seeking peace. How do you propose that this be resolved, and what are your general thoughts on what's happening in Rivers State?
I also don't care how it's resolved. Because if I want man playing God, I don't waste my time with people who play God. I was born in an outdoor church in Ilefe, what you call Cherubim and Seraphim. And I was taught only to place my life, my faith, and everything in God. It's not about one human being. I can love you no matter who you are, even if you are my parent. If I disagree with you, I will tell you the truth. And the truth in Rivers is that there was no crisis in Rivers. One man engineered, coordinated, and scattered everybody to the winds. in Rivers. So why did I bother and waste time? So for as long as the president allowed it to happen, because he feels it will favor him. Again, I wish him the best of luck. I'm not going to waste my time about Rivers. That is what Wike wanted, and he got what he wanted. He showed picture that I saw some pictures where they are depicting the governor kneeling down to hold his leg, to beg him. I made a mistake. I was misled. What is charade?
All right.
When did Nigeria turn to that? A couple. Something that you could not take. Would Wike have allowed Amechi to remove him? It's not possible. So, but he has the power today. That power intoxicates. So, let him carry on.
All right. Chief Dele Momodu, thank you very much for your time with us. I mean, you've been very clear about your stance with the PDP, the APC, and what the next steps are. Thank you for your time with us this morning.
Thank you, and my woman's regards.
All right, sir. Quite a heated conversation about politics in Nigeria. But away from politics in Nigeria, while the politicians are giving us hot in the United Kingdom, it does seem that a lot of changes are happening there that might impact Nigerians as well. Now imagine this, that you've spent years studying, investing in your education and dreaming of building a career in the UK. Then just as you're about to step into the workforce, the rules change. The UK government has announced a major change to its graduate route visa, cutting the post-study work period from 2 years to just 18 months. For thousands of students who had planned their futures around this visa, this isn't just a policy. It's personal, as whatever chance they hope to have of being part of the workforce will be cut short by these laws. We're joined this morning to break this down further and to tell us what it means, how it affects intending students looking for such opportunities, as well as Nigerians in the UK. We have News Central's international correspondent, Afua Hagan. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, like if you can give us some details of this policy, what it means, what the situation before this policy was like, and how it might impact Nigerian students, or students in general.
Well, yesterday, Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, released a white paper that had a whole host of new immigration policies with the sole purpose of bringing down net migration in the UK. Now, first of all, he's tackling legal migration. We're going to hear his plans on illegal migration, and that usually pertains to people who arrive in the UK in small boats. That will happen later on this week. But like you so rightly said, one of the rules that's coming in is cutting the time that you can stay after you've completed your education in the UK from, it used to be 2 years, and now it's going to be 18 months. So that means you have to find a permanent job much, much quicker, if at all. And it also means, there's going to be lots of other different rules that are coming in to make it difficult to even come to the UK in the first place. Now, UK universities have seen a 16% fall in international students because of tighter regulations that were around bringing dependents that came in quite recently. That's seen a fall in the number of people who have decided to come to the UK to go to university. And that means that UK universities are really struggling. Lecturers going on strike up and down the country. Universities really struggling because of the lack of fees that international students pay. We know those fees are absolutely astronomical. And so now you have this rule that's come into place as well. At the time you stay after your education, down from 2 years to 18 months. Other rules that are coming in as well. English language requirements are increased for all work visas, and they'll be extended to apply to all your adult dependents that are coming as well. So basically, if you come to the UK and you want to bring, say, your mother or your father, they are going to have a really high standard of English as well. The time that immigrants to live in the UK before they can apply for their permanent stay has been increased. It's been doubled to 10 years. It used to be 5 years. High-skilled and high-contributing people to the UK, the people in the AI sector, nurses, people in the tech sector, will still be able to perhaps use that 5-year route. But let's remember that while you're on that 10-year now route to living in the UK, every few years you are paying to renew your visa. So you will be propping up the Home Office because we know those fees are astronomical as well. The social care sector, the care sector, which is absolutely propped up completely by people that come into the UK and take up those really, really difficult, demanding and essential jobs. That Cooper, the Home Secretary, said on Sunday that she now wants to recruit from the UK only, so no more outward recruiting to find people to come and work in the care sector, and that's going to lead to 50,000 less people working in a sector that's already understaffed and underfunded.
Now, Afua, what sort of impact will this new policy have on Nigerian students, which make a huge part of the UK's international students? What effects would it have on them and also on the United Kingdom diplomatic relations with a country like Nigeria, if any?
This is going to have a huge impact on people who decide to apply to come to the UK to universities. First of all, they're going to be thinking to themselves, okay, so I have spent a lot of money to be able to go to a UK university to apply here, and now the time that I have after my education, only 18 months, rather than 2 years. It can take quite a while to find that perfect graduate job. You may find it and have to leave within 2 months. So they will be thinking to themselves, is it actually going to be worth it for me to come to the United Kingdom in the first place? And therefore, university students may just decide, you know what, the UK is not worth it. It's not the place that used to be. It's not as receptive to immigrants as it used to be. I'm going to apply somewhere else. And then that has a knock-on effect on UK universities. As I said, you have those rules about dependence as well, which came in, which has already seen a real drop in the number of people applying to UK universities and international students. We can expect those numbers to fall further, and people thinking to themselves, well, actually, the United Kingdom is not the place where I want to continue my education. If it's difficult for me to bring my dependents, if perhaps after my university education is over, I'm not going to be able to stay as long, and if I decide to apply for settled status, instead of 5 years, it's now going to take me 10 years if I'm not in one of those preferred sectors. And in terms of diplomatic relations, like you mentioned there, I mean, I don't think it's going to be very good for the relationship between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, or actually most countries and the United Kingdom, because now the United Kingdom doesn't look as attractive as it did for jobs, for education, because those immigration rules are going to be so much tighter than they were before.
Speaking about immigration rules, Kemi Badenoch has once again spoken about tightening the tightening opportunities for immigrants within the United Kingdom. She's asked for, she said that the United Kingdom is a home, not a hotel. But let's take a look at the video, and after that we'll come back to take the reactions of Nigerians and what the implication of this will be for Nigerians who are maybe vying for British citizenship.
From next year, 2 million immigrants could automatically claim British citizenship. 2 million people. That's nearly twice the population of Birmingham. That's massive. We've introduced a deportation bill because we're committed to bringing immigration down. Back in February, we demanded Labour triple the time for new immigrants to get a British passport. They voted it down. And now they've brought in some half-assed version that's not going to work. Here's what will work. Deport all foreign criminals. Mandatory age checks. No more pretending to be kids. Tougher visa rules and salary thresholds. Disapply the Human Rights Act to immigration cases. No more abusing human rights laws to dodge deportations. Make asylum support repayable. And no permanent right to stay in the UK if you've relied on benefits. Until that's law, we won't fix this. Labour should adopt it now. It's time to get tough. That's what the Conservatives' deportation bill delivers. And we're going to go further. Our country is a home, not a hotel. And if we don't defend it, no one else will.
Right, and that is the leader of the Conservative Party.
Our country is a home and not a hotel. It's very rich coming from the United Kingdom that pillage and colonize half of the world, and then you'll complain about immigration. But that's conversation for another day.
Right.
Yeah.
We had hoped that we of course will try to reconnect with Afua Hagan before the conclusion of the show to talk about the popularity of this conservative deportation bill and what the responses have been in the United Kingdom from, the Britons as well as, all the foreign nationals, especially Nigerians, as our conversations here will always protect the interest of Nigerians in the diaspora.
You're welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Boro. I will begin with politics, where several aspirants from the Lagos State chapter of the All Progressive Congress are preparing to stage a major protest at the party secretariat on Akpoti Road, Ikeja, as well as in Shomolu area of Lagos. The protest comes as the party's appeal committee has set Tuesday as a deadline for aggrieved aspirants vying for local government chairmanship positions to submit their petitions. The committee, chaired by the Lagos State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Lawal Pedro, was constituted following widespread protests both online and on the streets over the outcome of the APC primaries held on Saturday. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party has inaugurated 39 new members into its Board of Trustees, describing the move as a reaffirmation of the party's core values and commitment to unity ahead of future elections. BOT Chairman Adolphus Wabara performed the inauguration at the PDP National Secretariat in Abuja, noting that the nominees were drawn from various states and zones based on loyalty, experience, and commitment to the party's vision. Wabara urged the new members to act as a stabilizing force within the party and work to uphold its founding principles. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has described the recent crisis in Rivers State following the declaration of a state of emergency as self-inflicted by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Speaking during a media chat with journalists in Abuja, Wike claimed that Governor Fubara ignored counsel from several experienced governors regarding his leadership style and handling of the political structure that secured his victory in the last governorship election.
I called for peace severally. Not peace. I'm calling. I said the president has called for peace severally. And I cannot sit down and one president has called for peace. He said don't want peace. Yes, he came. He came with two governors and one other person. Unfortunately, the two governors are APC governors, unfortunately. When this thing started, I called him. Sheima Gende was there. Otong was there. Ibazu was there. Ubayi was there. And we were scouting. We started that look. This thing is not good for you. God has given you this thing. Why not humbly? And don't allow people to push you. They are telling you to act, you're a governor. We know. Nobody is taking the way you're a governor. But also mind you, that people labored day and night. And all I have said, don't abandon people who have labored, who have toiled day and night.
Today marks the final burial rites of elder statesman, the late Pa Edwin Clark, in Kabodo, Delta State, Nigeria. The day's events will commence with a line-in stake followed by a commendation service and funeral, followed by a commendation service, funeral service, and interment at Edwin Clark University, located in Kabodo town. News Central Austin Azu is reporting live and it joins us for updates. Good morning to you, Austin. Could you give us a situation report of what's happening in Kabodo, Edwin Clark University this morning?
Late Pa Edwin Clark, Senator, and this is where he's going to be, they will bring him here this morning, and this is where they are going to lie him in state before he is going to be taken to his home. That's his family compound before he's going to be buried. Of course, earlier this morning it was a heavy downpour, and people are finding it very difficult to access this place because of the terrain. But the weather has actually calmed down a little. So obviously you won't see anybody here at this point, because this is where they are going to lie him in state. Thereafter, he will be taken down to his family house where he will be buried according to the traditions of the land. But by and large, everyone seems to be quite excited about the day, and a lot of persons have been paying tribute to late Pa Edwin Clark since a few days ago. And today, of course, is going to have a climax of the whole event that cumulates into the burial rites. And Kiaboda, as we speak at the moment, the weather is calm, and we don't know if it's going to rain again, but there was a downpour this morning. So expectedly, dignitaries who are supposed to come here that over 3 governors from South are expected to come to this funeral. And of course, we have other persons in and outside Nigeria who are expected to come to this community. It's going to be a beehive of activity, because the events lined up for this final rites today is going to be very, very, let me not use the word massive. But however, the other events thereafter from this place will go to the church. After the church, he will be going to his compound where he will be buried close to his ancestors, and thereafter they will come back to the university field here, where they're going to have entertainment and refreshment for guests who will be coming to grace today's event.
Thank you very much, Austin Azu, for that update. We'll definitely be linking up with you in subsequent bulletins. Thanks for the update. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, Breakfast Central continues. I am Benga Aborowa.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We'll now review the newspaper front pages, and joining us to analyze what the top stories on the papers are is the publisher of the Niche newspaper, Ikechukwu Amechi. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amechi. Always a pleasure to see you. And I see you're almost color coordinating with the olive.
Because great minds think alike.
Are you wearing glasses with him? Great minds are bespectacled.
Nice one, nice one. Okay, let's get into the papers this morning and see what the front pages are saying. We'll be starting off with the Nigerian Tribune. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, World Bank, Nigeria's economy needs to generate better jobs, reduce poverty. The comment Nigeria's growth trajectory says, economy recorded fastest growth in about a decade in 2024. Wants pace of growth to accelerate further and projects inflation to fall to average of 22.1% in 2025. JAMB engages IT experts to review...
Sorry to interrupt you. That World Bank, Nigeria's economy needs to generate better jobs, reduce poverty. Sounds like a Nigerian politician.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what the presidency will say. But let's move on. We'll get back to that.
We'll come back to that. JAMB engages IT experts to review 2025 UTME. Wabara declares PDP revival as Board of Trustees inaugurates new members. Federal government raises 1,093 trillion naira via SUKOK to fund infrastructure development, according to DMO. Wike wants PDP over 2027 presidential ticket, says Fubara visited him with 2 APC governors. Federal government to overhaul underperforming discos. Unijust Professor Piwona succeeds Oshodeke as ASU president. Interesting. UK ends overseas social care in major immigration shake-up. And the tax reform bills, reps set up conference committee to harmonize with Senate.
I mean, is there any need to even look at any other newspaper? Because this has almost all the stories.
Well,
so many things to start to touch on. JAM engages IT experts to review.
Well, I'd like us to start with the PDP one, because that was the last conversation we had. We've had 2 PDP members. One of them believes, the first one we had was Honorable Clement Aziegbemi, who believes that the PDP is on its path to recovery. They just need to put their house in order. He believes that the PDP should zone to the south, not the north, in agreement with Nyesom Wike's statement. We also had Chief Momodu, who believes that Wike had a lot of blame in all of this, and that Wike is acting the way that he's acting because he has the presidential backing.
Wike has already declared his intention, and you can't serve 2 masters at the same time. If you fully endorse President Tinubu, what's your business with who emerges as PDP presidential candidate, since you're not going to support that person? And I kind of see his logic. What do you make of this. And also, please, we'd like to keep things interactive. Call us and share your thoughts or comments on any of the stories we've discussed this morning.
The PDP crisis, if you ask me, is a self-inflicted injury. And it started right in, it has been there, but I think it got to this cancerous level, what I would call cancerous level in 2023.
The terminal decline.
Yes, because of the ambition of the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar. Look, I'm not a fan of Wike, and whatever he is doing may have been motivated by self-interest. But that Atiku went against the grain of political thought that has been there in Nigeria since 1999, whether for good or for bad, that the presidency, for the sake of equity, for the sake of fairness, should be rotated between the North and the South. And therefore, we've had a Momodu Buhari from the North,
2 terms.
Katsina State, a Fulani man, who had his 2 terms. And in 2019, don't forget, in 2015, that Atiku and co left PDP because of this same reason. When the former President Goodluck Jonathan reneged on his promise to do 1 term so that power can go back to the North after the unfortunate death of Yar'Adua. In 2015, Jonathan reneged. That was how APC came, and that was the entire North came to an agreement. Buhari had contested for the presidency 3 times prior to that time. Buhari has never been a fan of the northern elite. But all of them came together to say, look,
we have to unseat.
We must unseat Jonathan. Anybody but Jonathan. Atiku was part of that movement. Bukola Saraki was part of that movement. And they all coalesced in APC. Okay. And of course, unseated Jonathan.
Let's quickly hold that thought. We'll come back to talk about what happened with the coalition against Jonathan. We have Prince calling from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Prince. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead with your comment. Unfortunately, we lost that call. So we are speaking about how there was a coalition against President Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes. So in 2019, this same Atiku, and of course with Bukola Saraki and others, came back to the PDP. Atiku picked the ticket and ran for the presidency against Muhammadu Buhari, and of course lost. So in 2023, having had a northerner on that seat for 8 years, common sense and political sagacity would have dictated that, look, if PDP was to survive, it must have its own presidential candidate again from the south. Atiku went to Enugu and hijacked the ticket of the...
I mean, the delegates voted for it.
I think there is more to these delegates now voting for somebody that means the eye. Don't forget what happened at the Eagle Square. It was when Tambuwal, who had already made his speech, came back to make another speech announcing that he was going to step down for Atiku, and all his delegates now queued behind Atiku, that Atiku won. If not, perhaps, and Nyesom Wike may have taken the ticket, because by then P2B had left the PDP and joined the
Labour Party.
So All I'm saying is that as long as Atiku insists that he must be the presidential candidate of the PDP, even in the 2027 election, PDP will not recover from this crisis.
All right. Let's bring back in Prince. I think we've reconnected with him, and let's get his thoughts. Good morning, Prince. Thank you for calling from Port Harcourt. Please go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. All I want to say is, I believe Wike has done the needful, and I think he's in the right perspective on his view, because I think he's a man of wisdom. I think as a Rivers man and the South-South regional prince, I think the president should return back to the South, and I think we have to, understand the dynamics of politics, and I think the northern area has, taken a fair share of all these political meet all these lawyers. I think it's time for we to move back to South and develop the South-South let the South complete its tenure. And I think this is something recommendable. I think the Minister of the FCT is doing very perfectly well, and I think we understand his dynamics of his political ambition to make the South-South region a better place for real cohesion and for people to live well. I think let us support and emulate such a man who has integrity of character, and I think let us understand his point. I think I just want to say, as the Prince of Akpoti, precisely.
I think we get the summation of your thoughts.
To summarize it, he said it's only fair that the South completes. It's 8 years. Yes.
Okay. You did say that if the PDP continues to push Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as a candidate, then they're not done with this crisis. Part of the responses that Chief Dele Momodu gave to this argument is that Nyesom Wike wanted to run under this same northern ticket as the vice president with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and that all he's doing now is that he's bitter because he didn't get the ticket. And he's wondering if Nyesom Wike would have felt differently if he got that last ticket, and what has changed significantly between then and now. If he was willing to run under that same northern ticket, why is he all of a sudden criticizing it?
There is no doubting the fact that Nyesom Wike, after he lost out to Atiku Abubakar in 2023, lobbied to be Atiku's
vice presidential
candidate. Now, if he had been given that ticket, would he have done what he did? The answer is no. But now it is neither here nor there. We are in a crisis situation. I continue saying here that the biggest value that Nyesom Wike brings to the Tinubu governance table is not even what he's doing in Abuja as the FCT minister. People are saying that he's doing quite well in terms of infrastructure. But it is that he is there playing the spoiler,
the destabilizing
the PDP. And as long as he does that in cahoot with the judiciary, he's good to go. Nyesom Wike, for all I care, is the most valuable political factor going to 2027 for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is why no matter what he does, Tinubu is prepared to throw a state governor under the bus illegally just to satisfy Nyesom Wike. Nyesom Wike now addresses, will I call it?
Media chat.
Media chat every month, that a privilege that even the president does not have,
Clearly that he wants to be more expressive so that people don't misjudge.
Keep them updated.
For all I care, that is even the de facto vice president of Nigeria, because he's deferred more to than even the de jure vice president of Nigeria. So, whatever Dele Momodu is saying about Nyesom Wike, it is true that Nyesom lobbied to be running mate to Atiku in 2023. Atiku thought otherwise and picked
Senator Ifeanyi Okowa.
Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. Of course, the rest is history today. But the truth of the matter is that if Atiku insists on running for the presidency again in 2027 and succeeds in picking the ticket of PDP, PDP will fail.
All right, let's move now to another paper and take a few more headlines. We've just finished the Nigerian Tribune. Let's now move to the Daily Independent. On the front page, experts list obstacles to federal government 2.5 million barrels per day oil production target. NNPC to resume oil drilling in the North Ojularia shores. Federal government moves to revitalize Nigeria's electricity distribution sector. FEC OK 17 underwriters for Tinubu, Shetima, others life insurance. Igbenedion, Otom, Olafeso, Ugwuanyi, 35 others inducted as PDP Board of Trustee members. Per Clark leaved for others, says Jonathan. NCAA draws flag after Asaba Airport runway incident, in case you are wondering. An animal.
An antelope, similar to kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
Clashed with an airplane.
Animal farm. 25 years later, NDLEA gets forensic labs in Abuja and Enugu. Fubara lacks genuine capacity to broker peace, says Wike. And PDP will cease to exist by end of 2025, Ganduje predicts. Let's start with that. Ganduje, of course, had this is not the first time we've heard him speak about the one-party, the alleged allegations of Nigeria moving to a one-party state, saying that there's nothing wrong in it, so long as that these people are moving in because...
He's been speaking in a Vincent Obulafo fashion.
Well, Ganduje, the national chairman of the APC, was reacting to what the former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, said, that, of course...
APC will split soon and others will defect to the PDP.
And that Ganduje and others will also soon come back to the PDP. So it is this...
tit for tat.
Tit for tat. If you tackle me, I double you. The truth of the matter is that, look, a lot of what happens to PDP will depend on what they do with their presidential ticket in 2027. Of course, PDP won't cease to exist in 2025. That is rather too hyperbolic. It's an exaggeration. But will it come out stronger as an opposition party after the 2027 election? Like I said earlier, it will depend on what they decide to do with the ticket, their presidential ticket. If I were Atiku Abubakar, what I will do, if the idea is to unseat Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he is not in a position to do that. If I were him and other Northerners who feel aggrieved that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has betrayed the trust they had in him, what I will do is to look for a credible Southerner and amass the support of Northerners behind that person, rather than insisting that the power must go back to the North. Somehow, some people, even those that don't have, that are not partisan per se, see in that ambition an insult directed. Because, you know, some elements in the North have always insisted that they are born to rule. So if 4 years after the Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency, which has, of course, pauperized everybody, not only northerners, even those from his own southwest, everybody is complaining. Inflation is at an all-time high.
They're feeling it.
Everybody is feeling it. Cost of living is very, very bad. And the Naira has been devalued by more than 250% since 2023, since May 29, 2023, when he was sworn into office. So the economy is actually really...
But the argument, Mr. Mechi, is that they inherited the comatose economy that
Things
was
were already bad.
lifeline. So you had to take surgical procedures, floating of the Naira, removal of full subsidy, and that we will begin to, that this is only 2 years into a 4-year presidency. Are we being fair in our assessment of the Tinubu administration?
We are being more than fair. That argument is harebrained because of
your reasons.
Yeah. 2 reasons. Number one is that Tinubu took over from an APC government. Don't forget, APC, when they came on board in 2015, with what was their mantra then? Change. They did everything to say that the 16 years of PDP was the worst thing that has happened to Nigeria. It is not true. We've now found out that the worst of the 16 years of PDP is far better than the best of the 10 years of APC so far.
Looking at data.
Buhari actually crippled this country beyond anything you could imagine. But the truth of the matter is that Tinubu came in 2023 promising that, if you remember what he said, was it in Cross River or in Akwa Ibom? There was this video that was trending then. He said they don't know what to do. And he was talking about the Buhari government. We know what to do, we will do it better. This idea of saying that you excuse yourself from any responsibility, why did he seek to be president? Is it not to make things better? So when you aspire to be president and all you do, APC under Buhari did that for 8 years, PDP, even when things were far better under PDP than under APC. So 8 years down the road, what other excuse do you have? So Tinubu government is an APC government. But beyond that, look, if he come in, remember when Obama became US president, I think in 2008, George Bush Jr. had, because of the 2 wars he was fighting, had taken America's economy almost down the drain. Obama, in 8 years, brought America's economy back and all that. The rest is now, as we say, history. What has Tinubu done? Can anybody, apart from those who are in government, can anybody say that his life today, he's better off today than he was May 29, 2023?
They'll say they stopped queuing for petrol.
At what price? At what price, Benga? It is the same thing. This same APC government, they were there. NNPCL was fooling everybody, saying that Warri Refinery, Port Harcourt Refinery, all that, they spent $2.something billion reviving. At the end of the day, nothing. And they continue deceiving Nigerians. 2 years is enough to show direction of where you are going. Where Tinubu has taken us in the last 2 years, I'm afraid no Nigerian is comfortable. Are they going to do better in the next 2 years? Let us watch and see. But there is nothing yet that shows, because there's no plan there that anybody can see. Is it insecurity? Do you know how many Nigerian soldiers have been killed in the last 1 week?
Okay, I mean, another aspect that we need to look at in terms of how well we're faring as a nation is the education sector, and we will look at that in the next segment where we take what Nigerians are saying. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now, according to latest reports, it would seem that over 1.5 million students who registered for the 2025 UTME scored below 200. And, you know, there are several reactions to this. Many have said that this is an unprecedented failure. Whilst on the one hand, some blamed this on maybe lack of preparedness, what we've seen, however, are that a number of students have complained about the fact that the CBT system by which the JAMB is conducted is highly flawed. They talked about the technical glitches that they experienced on the day of the exam. One person who has championed the cause of the students is Alex Onya, who is the CEO and founder at Educare. But we'll play you a video of the reaction of one of the students and her father to the results of JAMB. Let's take a look.
About JAMB 2025. Last year I wrote JAMB, I got a score of 297 and I registered for system engineering in UNILAG, but due to some hitches in Positiemi and Wike, I could not go there. So this year I wrote JAMB, I came prepared, I had studied over 25 past questions. Just to wake up this morning and check my JAMB results, and I got 155, which is very ridiculous because in the first place, all the mock and CBT exams that I've written, I have never ever gotten less than 250, which is very surprising and shocking that JAMB can give me a score of 155. I don't know what to say, and I want everyone in Nigeria to speak up on this because this is not the result. I've heard many complaints from Twitter and from different social media apps that people that did very well last year, that did well, that are capable of doing very well, are getting extremely low marks, like me. Because I had my exam on Monday the 28th, and it's like most people on that Monday they had problems because my system logged me out two times. So I don't know, maybe as it logged me out, the answer maybe submitted for me or something. So I really want to know what the problem is with JAMB. JAMB should be able to tell us what the problem is, and like where someone like me can drop from 297 to 155. Which is painful because I don't know who is going to answer me now or where this message, but please, I want everybody to come together. If you are facing this same trouble as me, let's come together because we need to speak up. This cannot go like this.
This is to confirm what my daughter has just said. First, I want Nigerians to know that JAMB has been so good for some time, but this year something serious, something is wrong with them. Now, in the center where she did this examination, he said she was logged out 2 times and then they returned. On her own part, she said she checked back and cross-checked her results to still notice they were still intact before she submitted. Now, for this examination, I want to confirm that this, my daughter that spoke, has never been a dull student. She prepared so well.
You know, these are just a fraction of the complaints that we've seen on X. Parents, students, all sending videos, tweeting about this, expressing their dissatisfaction. They raised concerns about the system glitches. Some have said that there were portions where they had answers and no questions. And they're wondering, how credible are the results from an institution where there was technical glitch and yet nothing is being done about it? But let's take some of the parents' reactions, some of the complaints by Nigerians reacting to this. And we're going to start with Alex Onya, who has championed the cause. In Alex Onya's first tweet, can we please have the tweet? He says, currently we have 8,391 students who have sent in their complaints regarding the glitches in the JAMB 2025 exam. These are a lot of evidence to prove that JAMB system was inefficient and thereby causing serious harm to these students' mental health. He says the demand is for JAMB to show all the students their mark sheet to view their results, also see what they failed, the correct answer, and possibly a seamless way to dispute it. The destinies of these students are at stake. Students, we won't let your guards down, he says. And the next tweet is from Ikechukwu Mba, who says, please, my daughter has been crying since Friday night that she did not understand the score JAMB gave to her, 155. That JAMB this year was a bit easier than last year, where she scored 249. And the next tweet is from Erejuwa Faith, who says, thank you for this. I know someone who missed their JAMB date and couldn't write the exam, but was given 315 as their score. What sort of glitch is this? JAMB, give us our result. The next tweet from reacting to this says, my cousin's bro just saw his results now after days of trying. He got 150. He came back the day he wrote JAMB and told me his center had issues on questions. He said he could only attempt 140 out of 180 because the 1 to 10 on every subject were just answers and no questions. We have another tweet from this. Annie Prince says, same complaint from my daughter. She was denied of her mock in the same center where she took her JAMB, reason, network failure. Now she had an internal mock by Queen's College where she scored over 250, having prepared very well for the JAMB. She went in for it and same glitch. The next tweet is from Abimbola Lawal, who says, my son has been unconsolable since yesterday that we checked his JAMB results. His JAMB first attempt last year, when he was in SS3, he got 274. That was before he wrote his WIAC. He was not given any admission because of late release of his physics result. JAMB 2025 gave him 159. Now, in reaction to all of these complaints, and trust me, there have been more in this regard, again, Alex Onya has been championing the scores. He has then taken a next action, and the next step he's taking can be seen in this final tweet. He says, we have taken our first legal step towards JAMB. We have taken the first legal step towards JAMB using the Freedom of Information Act. We need the mark sheet of all students released for them to review and also review all the glitches earlier raised, especially on the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 28th of April. He goes further to say, JAMB has 7 days to respond to this and provide a convincing solution, or we proceed fully to litigation. I currently have 13,955 students who have reported the anomaly, and this must be resolved once and for all. Enough is enough. He, of course, is demanding a public explanation of all that is happening. JAMB has been given 7 days. And, I mean, this is what's happening. Let's quickly get the reactions of Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi and Benga. What are your thoughts? I mean, Benga, we spoke about this earlier. I'd like to hear from Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi. Many people were blaming this at first on the lack of preparedness. Young people are distracted by social media. But here, over 13,000 people complaining about the glitches in the system. What are your thoughts?
You know, we discussed this same issue here last week. And I remember I said that I don't want to believe that Nigerian students all of a sudden are dollars. So many people will make excuses of saying that they are being distracted by the social media and people are no longer reading. I agree that some students may be distracted, but I've had two children, my first daughter and my son, who all schooled in Lagos here. My daughter schooled at Holy Child College, and my son schooled at St. Gregory's. Look, these schools, St. Finbar's, Akoka, these schools are all Catholic-run schools. And I know how strict they are in terms of exams. In fact, right from the first day, if they ever catch you in any exam malpractice, the punishment is expulsion. So there are some schools that still have very high standards. For this number of failures, 1.5 million out of 1.9, which is over
78% thereabouts.
Percent of the people who sat for JAMB exam. Look, people must begin to ask the questions. Unfortunately, the Minister of Education said it is a proof that education malpractice is being checkmated. I respectfully beg to disagree. I am a trained teacher, and you don't.
It's even an indictment on.
You don't pride yourself that a proof of your ability to teach well is that all the students fail.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Anyway.
So something fundamentally went wrong. And look, all of us go for technology, but you must get it right. Where there are glitches, the people are being locked out in only one exam twice.
Right. I mean, JAMB has responded to this in an official statement signed by the Public Communications Advisor of JAMB. They have said that they're particularly concerned about this. They've engaged a number of experts, including members from Computer Professionals Association of Nigeria, chief external examiners, and heads of tertiary institutions. They're looking towards this. And we look forward to see what the next steps will be. But our hearts are really with these students who have complained, and we do hope that something is done to give them an opportunity to be able to partake fairly in this examination. Thank you very much, Mr. Kichuku Amechi, for joining us. Thank you to our audience for joining us as well this morning on Breakfast Central. This is where we end the show. We'll be back again same time tomorrow. I am Olive Emodi.